Antonio Adolfo from Finas Misturas. Is that close to right, Antonio? Am I close to saying that correctly this time?
Yes, you did completely. Very carioca.
I'm working on it. Welcome back to the Igloo. I'm so glad that you're here.
Oh, me too, Tracy. You know that I am your fan.
We have a mutual admiration society.
Great. That's fine to be here.
We were just listening to Con Alma, a Dizzy Gillespie tune, and that's one of the 10 tracks on your latest recording here, Finas Misturas. And, well, let's see. Tell us about Con Alma. I watched you listening to it intently. I just love watching musicians listen to their music when they come up to visit me here. And I have to say that you are one of the most intense listeners to your own music that I have the pleasure to host.
Yeah. Con Alma, I was talking with you just before I entered the studio here, and one of my favorite piano players, besides Bill Evans, and at that time when I started to be a musician, I listened to lots of Oscar Peterson, and the first time I listened to this song was through Oscar Peterson on one of his recordings, and then I got in love with this song. And then I listened to that recording by Dizzy Gillespie also, who is the author of the song. He's the composer. He's a great musician. He has a wonderful history. He's an incredible trumpet player, composer. We already recorded his songs in other albums as well. And then Con Alma means with soul, con anima, etc.
I guess we'll talk a little bit more about anima a little bit later when we get around to the most beautiful song ever written. I imagine we'll spend a fair amount of time talking about that. But this album, Finas Misturas, is Fine Mixtures, is the way that translates in English. And what you've done here is put some things together. Can you tell us about the process of deciding what to mix and how?
Yeah, I always love to play jazz, and despite I don't consider a typical jazz musician, but if you understand jazz as a way of improvising, can be from different cultures. One says that there is Brazilian jazz or European jazz or Latin jazz, whatever. It's jazz. Jazz means improvisation. And then I always wanted to put together these idols that I had in my life as a musician, like Coltrane, like Bill Evans and Keith Jarrett, Chick Corea, etc. There are many. I tried to put some of their songs and mixing with my music, and then suddenly I started to when I was doing my research, as I told you before, I brought from my school like maybe 300 songs, 300 tunes to play and see which ones would fit, and then I started to see how many I can fit in this album, and then I had four original songs that I wrote, and I wanted to be do like a mixture of these, a blending of these works, and then I started to play the songs, and then when I find one song, okay, I want to play that, and I start playing that song like 200 times maybe, till I feel that song is part of me. It's like I feel that the song is like one of my songs. And then when I started to feel that feeling, that emotion, that I don't know how to express in words what I feel, I think that's the moment that I should think about recording that song or write an arrangement, and then the arrangement comes together with the interpretation, something that mixes everything. It's mixtures. That's maybe why I choose this title for the album.
Fine Mixtures indeed. let's see, you talked about, as far as Con Alma goes, your history with the tune. And I guess I'm wondering what it was that inspired you to include it on this album specifically. You go back a long way with that song, but was there something in particular about your working with it this time that has brought it to this recording?
No, just the music itself, just the chords, just the feel of the music, just what I was looking for. I don't know. It's something that comes naturally. I can't separate to explain why. It's something that you feel you fall in love with something that at that moment. No, that's it.
The music speaks for itself. I'm just here to ask the occasional question about it, just in case there's something more to be said. Let's go back sort of to the beginning, as it were. We were talking a little bit, as you say, before you sat down there on the other side of the glass from me in the igloo, about your beginnings as a young musician back in Rio, back when you had to have, what was it, a note, started to say a note from your mother, special dispensation when you first became a professional. Please tell us about your early days as a professional musician.
I was very happy at that moment because I could. I grew up listening to these guys that my idols, my jazz musicians that I loved very much. And then when they went to Rio, they used to go to the place I started playing, which is the Bottles Alley, which is Beco das Garrafas, means Bottles Alley. There was a place in Copacabana where the musicians used to get together and play in jam sessions. And every visiting musician used to go there, like Horace Silver, they jammed there. Like I remember the Modern Jazz Quartet people and Paul Winter and lots of people. They stopped there to know what was happening at that moment. And that moment was the moment that Bossa Nova was starting like in late 50s, early 60s, and that was also my school.
Yeah,
that was my school. I learned I was very young to be inside the clubs because we had to be 21, and at that moment I had 17. I was 17. And then I started to listen from outside the clubs. I put my ears close to the doors and the wall, try to imagine what was happening there. And that was very beautiful. And I could at least talk with the musicians. And there was a jam session every Sunday afternoon that I could go. And there I could play with other musicians, but I was very shy at that moment to play among those great musicians from Brazil and jazz musicians from Brazil and from abroad also. And that was my beginning as a professional musician. And then I was very happy. One of my first gigs was with Leni Andrade, a great Brazilian singer, Carlos Lira, a great composer of several beautiful songs, and I can say that I was happy.
Can you tell us about your first performance at the jam session on Sunday? You said that you were shy, and I'm wondering what it was like to get past your shyness and take the leap and begin to perform, to work there.
I felt that nobody wanted me to go on that stage. So I started very shy, and then I started to play, and then when I started to be more relaxed and could see that people were enjoying, that was like I was being received by the great musicians and by that community, it was very, very important to me because I was not so happy in my childhood as I was when music came to my life.
How did music come into your life?
Well, I used to study violin first. My mother was a violinist from the symphony orchestra in Rio de Janeiro, and then I started violin, but I preferred the piano. I don't know, maybe because of the possibilities. harmonies, no? And I consider that harmony is something I can't separate that if it's harmony, rhythm, or melody, which more seduces me. But I can say that I'm harmony guy. I like harmony between people and harmony in general. And then my beginning was listening to classical, a little bit of classical and jazz and Brazilian music. At that moment, João Gilberto was showing on his first album, 1958, or Chega de Saudade, all those songs, and No More Blues, they say here. And that was it. I started as a violin student, and then I moved to piano, and I started to play also in parties of friends at the school. I started to play in other schools. I remember Claudio Roditi, he was in our group also as a trumpet player. And then there was other groups of musicians of the same age. That's very special. You can start a career as a jazz musician, playing with nice people.
That's a time and a place, both very special. It happens every now and then, kind of like 52nd Street in New York back in the bebop days. Yeah, there are these moments.
Exactly. I heard that happened at the same time also.
And you have gone from your school in Bottles Alley to running your own school. Well, actually more than one now, or one branch of the same school here in South Florida and also back in Brazil.
Yes, that's sort of challenge. But between that time I started and then when I became a teacher, there was a long way. I think I became a teacher inspired by my teacher in France, Nadia Boulanger. She was the person and the professional teacher who inspired me to one day become a teacher as well. And that was in the 70s when Carol, my daughter, was born, and we came back to Brazil. We are living in Paris, France, myself and my wife, and then Carol came to life in Rio de Janeiro, and by that time when we came back to Brazil, and then I started to teach. I had a great experience with Nadia Boulanger in France, and I think that was my inspiration to become a teacher. But the school came a little after that, in 1975, and there's a big school in Brazil, and then my two daughters take care of the school, and of course myself and my wife also. We work a lot in family, everybody together, doing music.
Yeah, I was expressing my admiration for your success not only as a musician but as a family man, and mentioning that so many people, can't do either, and then there are those who can do one or the other, and I very much admire you for being successful at both.
Thank you.
And Carol, by the way, I guess we should say, is Carol Saboya. Last time you visited, you and she came to see me in conjunction with the release of Carol's recording Belezas. And now we're back here to talk about your latest recording, Finas Misturas. But before we play another tune from it, I guess I should say you did mention to me that you and Carol have something else possibly cooking? Something planned?
For the future? Mm-hmm. Of course. I don't know if she's... No, we sort of fight a little bit in the studio. That's normal between father and daughter. No? But it was the first album I produced for her. I always wanted to produce an album from the very beginning to the end, to the mastering, to the rest of the production. And Carol is so sweet, and I like very, very much her voice, and I know that the musicians that play with her normally enjoy very much playing with her. And I wanted to do, because I never had that chance to produce an entire album with her, and I love to do. But maybe we do the next album for next year, I think so. I would love. And she wants. We've been talking about that. We didn't think about which music gonna record, and what music we're gonna record, but we are in that way, I think.
I will wait here with bated breath. I so much enjoy your work and Carol's work. I will sit right here and wait with bated breath for your next outing. Let's back up to the current one, though, Finas Misturas. Let's have another track from that now, Antonio. Let's see, we've heard Con Alma. What would you like to play next for my friends in Radio Land?
Oh, maybe can we play one of my songs?
Absolutely.
Let's play, let's see, Três Meninos.
Okay, you tell the people about that while I get it ready to go.
Three Little Boys.
Mm-hmm. Tell the people the story about the song while I push some buttons over here.
Yeah, that song, actually, I was going to suggest for Carol on her recent album that she dedicated to Milton and Ivan. And the original title of the song was For You Two Guys. Something that's para os dois. Para os dois. It means for the two of them.
Milton Nascimento and Ivan Lins.
Ivan Lins. And then that song didn't go into that album. That happens a lot. Sometimes we record one or two more songs. Like this new album, I recorded 2 more songs of myself that I didn't include because we already had like 58 minutes, I'm sorry. And then I decided to record this song, and I redid something in the song. I remade some of the arrangement of the conception of the song, and then we did with this new title, Three Little Boys.
Antonio Adolfo on WLRN's Evening Jazz. Just listening to Trace Meninos, his tune, one of the original compositions from Finas Misturas, or Fine Mixtures. Antonio, of course, is in the studio with me here tonight, taking some time away from his teaching schedule to visit with us and talk about music. So I have posted a link to the Antonio Adolfo School of Music on my Facebook page so that people can come and find out a little bit more about your opportunities there. Tell us a little bit about the school, please, Antonio. I know that it exists, but beyond that, I don't know much about it.
It's a small school. It's a place that we have a big studio there. We have a room for private lessons and have another room also. It's a small school, and I have few teachers and have few students. I have some people that come from other countries sometimes and from other cities to have some classes, sometimes just for 1 or 2 weeks, and sometimes they stay here for more time. And sometimes I invite visiting musicians to teach clinics there. I had some people together discussing about the future of jazz. Like once I had Ira Sullivan there, I had Sammy Figueroa, I have Shelley Berg, all these guys together, and Ron Weber discussing about the future of jazz in Florida, in the States. The future of the musician's career with all these challenges that are happening at this moment, for professional musicians. And I teach privately there. I teach group lessons, also ensembles. I love to teach ensembles and improvisation, arranging, all these things. And I teach children also. I love to teach children.
AntonioAdolfo.net. As I said, that's posted on my Facebook page, The Real Tracy Fields on Facebook, but you don't have to go to my page. You can just go straight to AntonioAdolfo.net. Before we get into another tune from the album, I would like to ask you about your thoughts about the challenges that musicians face in making a life and a career in music at this point. You've done it. You've been a success at it for quite a while, and you've seen a lot of changes in music. What are your thoughts on what musicians need to know and do and be at this point?
I think at this point we are in a real big challenge with the internet. I love internet. Everybody loves internet. You don't have to go to some place to research in a library sometimes. And then you can research in the internet at that moment. You don't have to take the car and drive 5 miles to go to some place. Or you don't have to make a phone call to know something. But you meet some people there that you would never meet again if it was not the internet. But I'm very preoccupied because I make my living from music, and many musicians do the music have the music as their main activity. And then, for example, the problem with copyrights, the problem with mechanical rights and all types of rights that musicians used to have, and not only musicians, but everybody related to that activity, and that are disappearing. You cannot make royalties more. You cannot sell physical CDs. It's very hard to sell physical CDs. We don't find here, for example, in South Florida, tell me where there is a CD store now. I don't know.
I don't either.
That's something very serious. I am very preoccupied with that situation, and that's global situation. But on the other hand, you have to be creative. If you are creative to be a musician, people that knows how to do improvisation, they have to improvise in life also, in the professional life. And I'm not saying that I teach because of a survival situation. I always loved to teach, as I told you, since Nadia Boulanger was my teacher in 1973, in 74 in France. I love to teach. I love to create books. I love to create my material that I use to teach. And but this, I think teaching is a good escape. It's good. It's a good way for musicians to find a survival teaching, because learning music is very important to everyone, not only for the profession, the ones who want to be professionals, but it's proved already that music is good for everything, and learning music is good for even for maths, for mathematics, and
Absolutely.
for everything in your life. And so I'm in love with my career. I wrote several books already. I have 7 books published in Brazil, 2 books published abroad, and here and in Europe, and I have videos. And I love to teach. I think it's part of my life, and that's why maybe I can program my professional life without being so preoccupied with my royalties. But of course, I fight for them. I fight for royalties. I love to play live also. I love to play at home. I love to record albums. I love to play with musicians. I don't want to play just myself. I hate to be only a piano solo teacher. I would never be. I just did 1 album in my life for piano solo. I like to play with other musicians.
Yeah, there's something about that. I work alone, but I can understand why you would enjoy working with other people. There's a
interaction between musicians. That's what stimulates you.
Yes.
When I recorded this album, for example, I could feel, because it's something that makes you happy playing. You see the other smiling, and the other putting all his energy on that, and the joy of music, the wonderful world of joy of music.
If there's anything better, I can't think of it offhand. 5 minutes now past 11. This is 91.3 WLRN and HD1, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, the Palm Beaches. 91.5 WKWM and HD1, Marathon, Key West. This is WLRN's Evening Jazz, Miami Mondays and beyond. My guest tonight is Antonio Adolfo. His new release is entitled Finas Misturas. It's been very popular here on Evening Jazz. And of course, it's doing very well on the Jazz Week chart, climbing steadily up there, so it's very popular all over the place, as well it should be. We will hear another track from it momentarily, but before we hear Giant Steps, Antonio, you were telling me a little bit about some of your work in making this song your own for Finas Misturas.
You mean about this, specifically this song?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this song is a song that I always had in discussions with the school teachers, talking about these, how to improvise 1 chord per note, or one note per chord is very challenging to improvise over that Coltrane's harmony. I think when Coltrane wrote that tune and he chose those chords, I think that was like a reharmonization, because I felt that the original harmony for that song would be more like straight ahead, like more something very technical. If I start to explain here, I'm going to take too long. But I think that if you understand what he had in mind, maybe when he wrote those lines, those notes, and then you can find ways that make it's very simple. That's a very simple song. It's short. It's so simple that's short also. And then I added some like an extension, like a bridge maybe for that song, with the same motif, with the same cell. And that's the beginning of the cell, and then you have ti do da ti do da ti do da. Sorry about my singing. I prefer Carol singing than myself. Or Nicole Henry, many people here that sings very well. But there are 2 basic motifs, as I told you, and then from that you can develop, and then as I am a arranger, composer, I have to deal well with that. I have to deal satisfactorily with that. No? And then I found a way, and then I found a link with Brazilian northeastern style that we call quadrilha, that they play during the winter there for the parties. They have quadrilhas, they have as festas juninas. And then I found that relationship to the state of Pernambuco, where they have the frevo also. And then I felt that link, and I placed that link in the arrangement. I let that happen.
And I know my Brazilian listeners are very excited at the prospect of hearing how it came out, so let's get into it. From Finas Misturas, Antonio Adolfo now with John Coltrane's Giant Steps. very fine mix indeed. Giant Steps from Finas Misturas, Antonio Adolfo's most recent recording. Antonio is my guest here tonight in the Igloo. And, of course, he didn't make this record by himself. Maybe, just maybe, we ought to talk about some of the fine musicians who worked with you on this, Antonio, and I hope they will forgive me for not bringing them to the fore before now.
Yeah, they are so close friends and so familiar to me, like Rafael Barata on drums and Jorge Alda, the bass player, double bass player. Interesting this in the song, the way the bass plays. It plays in the upbeat, and at the same time the drums conducts like if it is straight ahead jazz. It's with a sort of very interesting combination, and you have a great sax player, tenor sax player, which is. In this song, he plays tenor sax. Marcelo Martins is from Niterói, Rio de Janeiro. Also, it's the other side of the bay, in Rio de Janeiro. And I have Claudio Spivak, who is Brazilian carioca, also from Rio, who lives here in Miami, Florida, like I'm living in also here. Also, we have on the percussion, Rafael Barata did, like after the take, he did the percussion. And we have Léo Aboedo, also the electric guitar. He's an incredible musician. And I think without them, I wouldn't be able to do something interesting like this album. What they did is something very, very, very... I think they are also the arrangers, because their participation with the solos, with the interpretation, with the love that they place is everything we want.
And I recognize these names. You've worked with these guys before, so yes, I can feel the way that you know each other and work together.
Yes.
As we say often, as I say a lot, the music speaks for itself.
Yes, it's right.
And there are 2 Coltrane tracks on this recording. The other one I was very excited to see. I mentioned on my Facebook page, when I get a recording, I knew when I saw your name on this that it would ultimately be featured on Evening Jazz. I didn't have to hear it. I just popped it in the player to see what was on it, basically. And I was very pleasantly surprised when one of my favorite tunes popped up, which is the one we're going to hear next. That's Coltrane's Naima, which I say probably too often, but which I believe to be the most beautiful song ever written.
Great.
How did you choose Naima?
Oh, it's a lovely song. It's a lovely tune, and I like the name Naima, which I know that's for Coltrane's wife or ex-wife.
His first wife,
His first wife.
Yes.
And Naima also, if you place the letters in different positions, you have anima, which means alma, which means soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. I love this name, Naima. Maybe one day, if I have another granddaughter, I'm going to suggest that name. It's a lovely name. And the song, I did an arrangement. That melody is something very magic, very of the 60s, that carries something from the 60s. And I decided to do. I extended the first part of the tune. I extended the feel instead of doing. First, I played as it is originally, the first 8 measures. Maybe I don't know if it's 8 or 16, depends on the way you count. But then I found that we could extend, because it's so beautiful that. So we stretched that melody of the verse, if you can say that this way, of the first section of the song, and then the second section I played in as it is, but different harmony a little bit. Also, even in the first part, I changed the harmony, and at some point we found a link with Brazilian samba canção and bolero, and you can feel a bongo there playing. It's and there is a beautiful solo by Marcelo Martins on flute this time, and Jorge Alda, bass player, also plays some interesting notes in the other section, the almost in the end of the song.
Naima. And this is where I customarily say that if we were at my house, I would make you listen to that again. Well, we are at my house tonight, but since I've got company here, I'm going to try to behave. Antonio Adolfo is in the igloo with me tonight, and we were just listening to his take there on Coltrane's Naima from his latest recording, Finas Misturas, with a cast of responsible musicians, some of whose names we went over a little while ago. And perhaps I could get you to introduce the band one more time, Antonio, while I cue up another track?
Yes, Rafael Barata on drums and percussion, Claudio Spivak on acoustic guitar, Leo Amoedo on electric guitar, Marcelo Martins on flute and tenor sax, and who else? Oh, myself on piano.
That other guy, yes. Composer, arranger, producer, yeah. So we were talking a little bit just now about, I guess the whole idea of la Ica, if you will. You've got, life going in two different countries here in South Florida and also in Brazil. And you told me that you would perhaps like to be more active here in South Florida, which got me thinking about the challenges that there must be inherent in trying to work in two different places. I guess there are benefits and also, as I said, challenges. What is the best part about living and working in two countries?
Oh, I like to, because in some way we are very, very close to each other. Not only geographically, it's an 8-hour flight. It's very close. No? Also, the weather here is very similar to the northeastern weather of Brazil, and I like also the combination of the three Americas here: North, South, and Central America, and the Caribbean. And also, I like the music, the Latin music a lot. And I have met many great musicians here from South Florida, from Mark Murphy to Nicole Yarling, Nicole Henry. Oh, I met some nice musicians, Gary Campbell and Jamie Owsley, Carlo Magno Araya. Oh, it's
yeah, we've got fabulous talent here.
Fabulous, and I like to go to the gigs and watch them. Ira Sullivan, and the tenor sax player before here,
Turk
Morrow. Yes, my friend Turk Morrow, and lots of great musicians here, and I like to live here and there. More here now at this moment, and more here than there.
Why is that? Why more here than there at this moment?
Oh, I don't know.
That's just what time it is. Okay.
Life's brought me here.
Okay.
Life brought me here to stay here. I like, but I love Brazilian culture also.
Well, we're glad that you're here. And that this moment feels more about being here than there. With apologies to my Brazilian friends, we're very happy to have you here. When you get cloned and you can be in both places at the same time, that'll be cool. But for right now, I'm very happy to have you here.
Maybe Antonio here and Adolfo there, or the opposite.
It could happen. The future is certainly never dull, is it?
the way things are going, everything will be possible.
Everything. In the meantime, if you're looking for Antonio Adolfo, La Ica, or here or there, wherever, if you don't know what he looks like, I have a photo of him up on my Facebook page. Look for The Real Tracy Fields on Facebook.com, and you'll see him there, and do be sure to look for him around South Florida. As he said, he's out at the gigs, so when you find him, go up and say hello.
Great.
Antonio, thank you so much for coming up to spend time with us tonight.
Oh, it's my complete pleasure coming here. I love your show, the music you play. I like something that, especially something that I can feel in your show, that you play the music from the musicians that live in South Florida, because we have great musicians here, and you are some special, very special person and very special musician as well, because you are very close to the music.
Wow, that's a stunning compliment. Actually, all I can think of to say is thank you, which is what my mother brought me up to do. Thank you. I am deeply grateful and honored by your presence. Antonio Adolfo, the new recording is Finas Misturas. That's what we didn't talk about. You know, it's let's see, where is it available, since we have no CD stores here in South Florida?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have these stores here, but you can buy through all these CD Babies and Amazon, iTunes, and all these CD Universe, all the major websites,
All
and
the usual places.
You can buy both physical or downloads.
And it's doing very well on the Jazz Week chart.
Yes, it's doing very well. I have someone that is working with me that's doing a great work. And I'm very happy with the results. That people enjoying the album. They're playing in several states and in several countries. It's being distributed worldwide in Asia, Europe, and going to start in Brazil for the second half of the year. I will be spending maybe 1 month in Rio in July, and I want that to be released in Brazil, of course. It's the place where I come from.
Mm-hmm. The music speaks for itself. I know, Antonio, you will keep us posted about any gigs or performances that you may line up here in South Florida. We'll watch your website. And is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to say to my friends as we say goodnight?
Oh, I love you all. I love music, and I'm very happy to be here in Florida and in your show. And music is my life. That's what I want to say.
We can hear that. Okay, Time Remembered, I think, is the final track on the CD, and that's the one that you've chosen as your saying goodnight song, correct?
Yes.
Okay, please introduce it for us, and thank you for coming up, Antonio.
Thank you very much.
Time Remembered, tell us about it.
Time Remembered is from one of my favorite pianists in my entire dedicated jazz life, Bill Evans. And this is a very challenging composition. It's very magic composition. It's not doesn't have a steady tempo, like not tempo, but a steady measure that normally the songs, the jazz tunes have. It changes the time signature, and then you have to go not reading. You have to feel the song and play it. And I had also the same team, and Marcelo Martins also on flute, and Rafael Barata on bateria, on drums. I'm sorry. We say bateria in Portuguese.
It's South Florida. I think we get it.
Jorge Helder on bass, and myself on piano. I think Leo Amoedo is also on this track. Yes, Leo Amoedo is on electric guitar, but the solos at piano and flute.
Time Remembered. Once again, thank you, Antonio Adolfo.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm very happy. Once more, I say that because it's a great show.
Thank you so much. You're very kind, and you've been a big asset to it. From your brand new recording, Finas Misturas, Time Remembered. Antonio Adolfo on WLRN's Evening Jazz, and a couple of other things, Miami Mondays and beyond. From Finas Misturas, we've just heard Time Remembered. 18 minutes now before, wow, that was quick. 18 minutes now before midnight on Evening Jazz, Miami Mondays and beyond. Let's go forward now. Antonio is my guest in the studio tonight. Coming up next Monday, we'll be hearing from this gentleman.